Welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I'm excited to have my friend Scott Schilling, who's the Authentic Connector, is a media host, executive coach, and international trainer. And I'm just blown away by the number. He's presented at over 3,000 live events, and and he's had the privilege to share a stage with General Colin Powell, Suze Orman, Jack Canfield, Les Brown. Woohoo! I love Les Brown, and many, many more. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Neil. It's fun to be back with you.
Yeah, we met. My Texan friend here met many years ago in the wilds of Canmore, and it was a cold day. And I'm like, love you, man, but why are you here in this cold? And it was because he was following his passion of being the authentic connector.
Absolutely. It was such a what a great first meeting and such a great time getting to know you a little bit and then being part of the entire meeting that we were part of and experiencing something so new and exciting. It was just a whole lot of fun.
It was. So you've been so you've got this currently, you've had this modicum of success, but I'd like to go backwards in time to the young Scott, to the younger version, whether it's the middle school Scott or the high school Scott or the college Scott. And if you can go back to that and think about, what do you think your version of success looked like in the younger version of you?
Well, I think in the younger version, I probably fell into the definition of success that many people do, and that is to strive to be the best that you can be at whatever it is that you're working to do. I was fortunate enough to play multiple sports growing up. I played Big Ten football at the University of Iowa. Go Hawks! Uh, had a great experience with all that. And um, as you become as you become more mature, that's code word for older. Uh, your definition, I think, changes along the way, and it certainly has for me. But I had so many great coaches and so many people that helped me through athletics. It just seemed that that same path of having an amazing coach or an amazing mentor would work in business as well, and it did. I was very blessed.
Sweet. So, and then we parachute you to the current version of Scott. That's, as your term was, mature. And what is your definition of success now?
Well, as I wrote in my last book, That Sucks, What Now? Real world solutions for getting through what you're going through. Uh, I think my definition has changed over time. Well, I don't know that the definition has changed. The what you strive for has changed. And the fact is, I think success, when you look back on it, is a series of accomplishments. And
Oh,
unfortunately, I think what happens is you get on the hamster wheel of life when you're chasing success. What I mean by that is, especially if you're a high achiever or a go-getter, you achieve something. Woohoo! Okay, I'm done with that. I've celebrated for like 6 seconds. So what's the next one? And then you woohoo, and you celebrated that for 6 seconds. And so you get on this hamster wheel of, it's always about this achievement of something, but as soon as you achieve it, you don't celebrate it. You're on to the next one. And what I realized as I became more mature is, and having great success and accomplishing many things, that for me it turned into being about significance. And significance is really the meaning behind the accomplishment. So when you have meaning behind what you're out to do, when you succeed, quote unquote, by the world's standards, what's the meaning within you of what that means, and as to your fulfillment, as to your family, as to your life. So it really becomes more about significance. And so for me, it has become upon really wanting to restore respect, honor, and dignity to the planet and do that and positively impact a billion or more lives while I do it. Now, that's significant.
It's wonderful, but what you're alluding to, Scott, is that you want me to think about what I and what's significant. You want me to think about what it is that I want out of life.
Yeah, I think what happens is, and again, it's funny. I had this conversation with somebody within the last 3 days. I said, if I was 30 years old again, which I'm only 35, so it's not that big a deal.
It's
But
not that's not that far away. Yeah.
I know it's not that far away. But I mean, if I was 30, I would probably look at it differently than I do today. But again, I have been through a near death experience. I've recently had two hips replaced. I just wore out body parts by playing full out and living a good, solid life. Now, the cool part is they can, go in there and an hour and 20 minutes later, they got a new body part in. They've taken one out and put a new one in. And I've had that done twice since June. And it's like a total rebirth. So what I realized is some of that chasing success in younger years can be pretty hard on the body, can be pretty hard on your marital relationships. It can be pretty hard on the people around you. It can be pretty hard on a lot of things. But all of a sudden, once you get a second chance, if you've been through a near death experience, which I wouldn't encourage anybody to try, or have a body part or a couple replaced, again, I wouldn't encourage anybody to go that route. But once you do, you stop and you go, gosh, what is really important? What is really significant? And, we've got a brand new puppy who in a couple of days will be 6 months old. What's really important? It's taking him for walks now. And because I've got two new hips that I can do that. And spending time with my wife and, talking to my kids, even though, heck, how'd they get to that age? Am I really that old? I mean, it's a different thing as you've experienced things throughout your life. The only question is, have you paid attention?
Oh, I like that. And for our listeners and viewers, that when Scott had a near death, some people could choose to shrug it off because he was horrific and it was terrible, but Scott's faith and the medical team that helped him along made it seem like it was nothing, but yet he was this close to going to the other side, and Scott could take it for granted. I'm like this, as opposed to what he's just explained of stopping to smell the rose, give his wife an extra hug because who knows what's going on.
Yeah, no, it really, I spent 6 days in intensive care, and the doctors were, uh, I swear they weren't trying to keep me alive. They were trying to understand why I was alive. Their comments were continually, you shouldn't be alive. And at one point, I got a little irritated and I said, sorry to disappoint you. I've always been an overachiever. I lived. And, and they said, well, yeah, but we don't really understand why. And I said, I got it all figured out. And they go, okay, smart ass, what is it? And I said, it's simple. It's God's grace, mercy, and favor on my life. I still have things to do. And they go, well, that's as good an answer as we got. And they walked out of the room. So the reality is sometimes you don't find out what you need to know until you find out what you need to know. There are many times where I'll go on stage and I'll say, by a show of hands, how many of you don't know what you don't know? Is it fair to say that somebody knows what you don't know? Is it even possible I might know what you don't know? So I want you to just suspend disbelief for a few minutes and just consider the possibilities. And if any of this rings true for you, critically evaluate it. And if you like it, accept it. And if you don't, Shut it off. It's fine. So the reality is you learn if you've been observant. You know, to me, everything is a learning event, even a near death experience, even having, hip replacement. It's an experience. I've learned some things that will make me better from this point forward for going through it. Again, I wouldn't encourage anybody to go through it, but because of being observant, there's going to be some things that I'm going to be able to share with others to serve them going forward.
Absolutely, and I love it. And thank you for uh, and sharing your story and your journey. Um, yeah. So success comes in many forms, and I know many people that don't want to do what Scott is doing and accept it, being grateful for the journey he continues on, but also looking at the gifts. Because so there's many people that would just sooner turn the channel on and do this or watch their Netflix as opposed to truly exploring the abundant opportunities that are available to us.
Yeah, very true. I was doing an event with John Maxwell a number of years ago, and we were backstage, and I said, John, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, what question do you get asked the most? I thought it'd be interesting to try to find out, right? He's such a great leader.
Yes.
And he said, well, I don't know if it's really a question. And he goes, I guess it kind of is. And I said, okay, what's that? He goes, I get asked, how do I get to where you are right now? And I said, wow, that's pretty bold question. Okay, how do you answer it? He said, well, I actually answer it with a question. I say, if you want to get to where I am, are you willing to do what I did to get here? And that becomes the answer. Many times, even if people say, oh, here's a great mentor, or here's somebody who's achieved exactly what I want to achieve, and they ask the person, can I study with you? Can I pay you to learn from you? Can I be coached or mentored by you? And let's say the person agrees, and the person truly respects that somebody wants that experience. Experience is a great teacher. It's just a very expensive one. Better to borrow it than get your own.
Yeah.
So, but now the mentor gives them everything they got, and the mentee goes, yeah, but I don't like step 3, 4, 6, and 8. So I'm going to implement part of it. And then they don't have the level of success, and they go, well, the mentor he wasn't that good. The
Yeah.
mentor gave you everything you needed. It wasn't the mentor. It was the mentee who didn't act on everything they were given. The ego stepped in and said, hey, uh, I think that step isn't right for me. Well, if you're you don't do that with McDonald's. You don't buy a McDonald's franchise and say, hey, I know that it costs this, and I know that you have, but I think I'm going to add like squid sandwiches because I really like them. Yeah, no, not allowed. Can't put it on the menu. So,
Yeah.
I just think that happens a lot.
Absolutely. And yeah, and even we it doesn't matter. Like you've met many successful people. You've been many like you're successful in your own right. Like some people would their version of success is to be able to speak on 3,000 stages. So you have achieved some of that success that other people want, but looking at people that you look up to that some form of success that you've not achieved, it could be physical, mental, spiritually, financial, whatever it is, what do you think? What do you believe that they're doing that the average person isn't doing and implementing to carry them towards success?
Well, every great mentor has had a great mentor or multiples. I've written checks to 19 mentors over my career. When I wanted to learn success, I went to who I believed was the greatest success mentor on the planet, Jack Canfield. When I wanted to learn the stock market, I went to Mike Koval and Freddie Rick. When I wanted to learn speaking, John Childers, the millionaire speaker maker. I mean, wrote significant checks to people and my statement to each and every one of them was the exact same. Give me everything you got, and my commitment is I won't keep it. I will share it with my students and my clients. And but every great mentor has a great mentor. For Jack Canfield, it was W. Clement Stone. I'm very blessed to have known Zig Ziglar and spent time with him and shared the stage with him. But I'm still friends with Tom and Julie and Cindy Ziglar, his kids, here in Dallas. And I say kids, I mean they're not kids, right? I mean
No, but they
they're
were,
very successful in their own right, right?
but they
So
were his or are his children. Yeah.
exactly. So my point is that the model, the path, the the way to do it is out there. Find the person that you resonate with that comes from the space you want to come from. I'm a sales guy and a sales trainer, and but there are a lot of sales trainers that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole because, in my opinion, they teach caveman style selling. That's bang them in the head, drag them back to the table, right? I mean, it's
Yep.
archaic. Where I don't, as a sales trainer or a salesperson, ever want to sell you anything, but I always want you to buy a lot from me. Therefore,
Yep.
it's my responsibility to create that environment where you want what I have. See, then you make the decision as the customer. You'll never be mad at me because you won't be mad at you. So the point is that again, it's a philosophy. So there are multiple sales trainers, as an example, but find the one that resonates with your style and your desire. Mine is called heart centered selling. It really is selling is serving because
Yep.
selling is simply providing solutions. People make it way too hard. It's 4 words: identify, problem, provide, solution. And anything past that is a bunch of junk.
Yep.
So the point is that when you want, if you, I see this, God, there are so many speaking mentors out there today who don't speak or who haven't been on stage or haven't been on stage much,
Yep.
but they're teaching people how to speak.
Absolutely. The scary part is, Scott, we're so close to being out of time, and we could spend. I could have you for another hour, and we still would be just scratching the surface. So, is there something that you would like to leave our current viewers with, and our viewers and listeners in replay with?
You know, the one thing that I think is absolutely, it's about your own fulfillment and again what makes you tick. For me, it's coming from the heart. It's not an intellectual or tactical process. It's a heartfelt, strategic, relational process. You got to truly love people. That's why my moniker being the authentic connector. Well, why? I've got a multi-billion-dollar Rolodex. That's not an ego statement. That's just because I've met a lot of people and I spent the time, like Neil, to create a relationship. It's not like we talk every day. We have talked actually quite rarely, but you create a depth of relationship when it's available. so that when there's an opportunity, there's a trust that extends over time. And that's
Yes.
what it really becomes. It becomes, how deep can you create a relationship ahead of a possible need for that relationship? And that's what, again, many of the younger folks aren't understanding right now, is you have to do in advance, and you have to create in advance of when the opportunity comes up. Because if you're trying to create the relationship exactly when the opportunity comes up, now it looks like you're just descending on people.
Yes.
So the opportunity is, my encouragement to people: truly learn to like people, truly
Thank
be the
you.
best person you can be, come from
Wonderful.
your heart and really understand who you are, and then do what truly fulfills you going forward. I love doing this. I mean, I love being able to share with other people. If Mother Teresa said it many years ago, if you can't feed 100, feed one.
Absolutely. So thank you, Scott, for taking the time out of your evening and sharing your wisdom with it. And thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you all. If I can ever be of service, please let me know.